Kitty. Look who's here. All our fans are out there. Well, I managed to snag a Remington Mariner bullet knife. And it came in this wonderful yellow box. Is that box yellow enough for you? The camera is not doing it justice, neither is the lighting. This is one of the brightest lemon yellow boxes I've ever seen. Most of my other Remington boxes are like a dark green, but man, this one is just bright yellow. Everything is already out of there, paperwork and everything else. According to the seller, this knife was originally made in 2001. That sounds about right. That's about when the bullet knives were coming out and everything else. Here's the you could call it, I guess, their certificate of authenticity. You see their Mariner bullet knife, and then all the little stuff they say about it. I'll take a couple photos of that and put it into the slideshow so you can see it all. And then their care instructions that also came in the box. So it came in original box with papers. I got all that there, but that's not what you want to see. You want to see this. And I tell you, ain't she purty? Yeah, it's a tortoise shell. And that was really one of the big sellers. Plus, the person was asking a decent price for it. He was not trying to gouge me. So I went ahead and grabbed it. And I'll show you a couple other knives just for comparison. But this is one of those knives that I'm really happy to be able to add to my large toothpick collection. A nice 5-inch tortoiseshell toothpick. This is the second 5-inch tortoiseshell toothpick that I have. Well, it's the second USA-made tortoiseshell toothpick that I have. Overall, it's the third large, as in 5-inch, tortoiseshell toothpick that I have. I also have one that's made in China. I'll show you that for comparison too. But this is the bullet knife. So you got the wonderful bullet shield. That shield was dark gray when it came out of the box. Never been polished or anything, but it polished up right away with just a little case paste. The blade is fine. Same with the bolsters. They were okay. You can see the brass liners are a little dingy, and if you look closely here, you can feel it right there. The handles have shrunk ever so slightly, but nothing dramatic. I don't know if you can see how pretty the color is there, but you can definitely see the brass liners underneath the lighter brown and the tortoiseshell. And I don't know, I really like this one. It looks pretty good. So 5 inches long, 4-inch blade, and these were made by Camillus, even though you see it there clearly marking Remington trademark. And we see the tank stamp there, Remington UMC, made in USA, and the back side gives you all the information about the pattern and everything. Oh, right there, no doubt about it, it was made in 2001. R-1615T 2001. I thought I saw that date somewhere other than just the listing, and now I know where I saw it. But this knife bears a striking resemblance to the classic cartridge series large toothpick by Camillus, which came out in 1993. So what, 8 years earlier, you had the classic cartridge series. How about those bolsters, huh? Think they look kind of close? I think so. And the bottom powder horn, look at that. Is that not very similar? You can see that it was done by hand. They're not exactly the same. Somebody actually sat there on a machine and put all those lines in there. All of those grooves cut into there. They were done individually by an individual working on it. It wasn't done like by a computer laser doing it. This was the old-fashioned way where you had a craftsman putting in those lines, but the basic pattern was the same. And that was, well, like I said, this is the classic cartridge series 7mm Mauser. I've shown this one before, but there you go, classic Camillus Classic cartridge. And see there, Camillus New York, USA, CCC number 3. And then on the back side of the blade, it shows you all the dimensions of the 7mm Mauser, or 7x57 Mauser round. So that's pretty cool. And that is in their, I don't know what they call that jigging, but it's a pretty good, it's a nice looking jigging. So those are the two Camillus knives. But let's take a look at this compared to the other two tortoise shells I have also. We'll start with the marbles. So here's marbles. I will show these all side by side in the slideshows too. And you notice the marbles has the distinctive cuts in the bolster that you find in all of the marbles knives, or most of the marbles knives, and many of the Rough Rider 5-inch toothpicks. When I talk about a large toothpick, I'm talking about a toothpick that is at least 5 inches long closed. I do not consider a 4-inch toothpick a large toothpick. That is a medium toothpick. In any case, let's get back to these two knives. Look at how pretty that Remington looks. Is that not nice? Let's get them. Let's flip them over and see if the luster changes. Nope. Got a lot more pretty, a lot more fire in the tortoise shell with that, with the one from Remington or Camillus, whichever way you want to call it. Both of them are nice. I like this one a lot. I see this all the time. It's like, man, that is so pretty. And see the blade edge here. Got the marbles blade edge. Really what I want to show you is the profile of the blades. You see something that looks very familiar. There's no doubt about it that the Rough Rider and the marbles large toothpicks were patterned after the Camillus toothpicks. Same with the Remington here. Look at that blade. The profile is almost identical. The difference, match striker pole versus just a regular nail nick. Let's close this up. Let's close this up. Same brass liners and everything too. I will talk a little bit more about the build of this in just a second, but let's look at the last of the tortoiseshell toothpicks I have. And this one was my Winchester barn door hinge, and it took a different take on the way to do tortoiseshell. This is more of a cloudy tortoiseshell. It's not as translucent, so the luster is not the same. Still a pretty cool looking knife. I liked it so much. I mean, I was looking forever for a barn door hinge. I just like barn door hinge toothpicks, so it was nice to get one from Winchester. It'd have been better to get one from Case or an old 5-inch large barn door from K-Bar, but the only ones I could find from K-Bar are 4 inches, and I haven't picked one up yet. But you can see the difference in the tortoise shell there. This one is also USA made. This one was not stored as well as the Remington. So if you notice, there's a little spotting along the top of the blade there, and you can barely see the Winchester trademark. It's kind of been rubbed away as I've been trying to polish out all the bad spots on the blade. You can barely see the Winchester blade edge. I'm not worried about that. I'd rather have the blade looking nice and shiny than have the I don't know, the staining that occurred because this knife, which has a 1095 carbon steel blade, was stored inside brass liners with a celluloid handle for many a years, basically being abused because it wasn't really being used or anything. And so all of the area up here got stained from basically reactions with being stored improperly. So been working quite a bit to get this back to the way I want it. I don't spend a lot of time every day on it, but every time I look at it, it's like, oh, I need to polish that a little more. And that's what I'm doing. I'm not in any hurry. But with this knife, tell you what, all I had to do is put a little case paste on the bullet here and polish it up. Like I said, this thing was dark gray. I mean, I should have taken a picture of it so you could see. I didn't even think of it. The knife showed up. I looked at it and go, oh, man, I don't think it's supposed to be that shade of gray. Took a little case paste, rubbed it on there. 10 seconds later, my cleaning rag was all black, and this thing was nice and shiny and silver. Nickel silver bolsters too. You see the brass pins holding it in there. You see the brass liners. I got to polish them up a little bit. Yeah, no doubt about it. You can see it. There's some gapping between the back spring and the brass liners. But other than the slight shrinkage that I've noticed, I mean, and it is ever so slight. You can't even get a fingernail in there. You can catch a fingernail on it, but you can't get a fingernail in there. Just ever so slight shrinkage in the celluloid, but it is still tight and smooth against the brass liners. And then you got the pommel, you know, with all those grooves and everything. Definitely could be polished up a little bit, but pretty good. This knife was definitely stored better, and the fact that it has a, I believe it has a 440A stainless steel blade, which allows it to survive improper storage a little bit better. Got a nice edge there. I like it. Maybe others don't. Yeah. It's not perfectly the same on both sides, but it's pretty close. You notice it's more of a satin finish instead of a mirror polish finish, but it is good enough. I mean, it looks nice. And I think they said it's hardened to 58 to 59 in the old Rockwell scale. Got a nice snap going on there. Nice bounce in the blade. Very tight. No wobble. That's the thing I love about toothpicks also. At least the toothpicks that I end up having. Yeah, the blade centering is not perfect. Well, it is now. There's a little bit of movement when the blade is in the handle. I noticed the same thing on this one too. This one's a little bit better centered though. The Remington was not as centered as the cartridge series one was. Wasn't as centered as the marbles either, but the wobble doesn't bother me too much, especially considering it doesn't wobble here. Yeah. As you can tell, I'm pretty excited about it. Got another USA made large toothpick. I did not have to spend an arm and a leg for it. It's in tortoise shell, so it's like all of a sudden life is good. And it's Camillus on top of that, so yeah, buddy. Pretty happy. Let's get them all up there where you can see them. There we go. Back out a bit. Yeah, buddy. There you go. 2 Camillus or 3 tortoiseshell. Either way, pretty classy. And no, that's not all of my Camillus powder horns. Guess I'll need to show that picture too. let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with the Pious. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.